Now something special for you. Day in, day out, our member firms work on public infrastructure projects with state DOTs across the country. And our firms employ the talented men and women who will design the future of American infrastructure promised by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. It's my honor to welcome the man in charge of overseeing much of that spending policy, the Secretary of the United States Department of Transportation, the Honorable Pete Buttigieg. Mr. Secretary, welcome to ACEC. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning. It's an energetic group for this early in the day. I appreciate the warm welcome. I know you've already been at it for quite a while. Thank you, Arthur, for the introduction, and thanks very much to ACEC for inviting me to share a few words today. I was remembering that the last time we spoke was 2021, and it's remarkable to think how much has changed since then. Not least the fact that, of course, now we're convening in 3D instead of in those little boxes that I was addressing you from last time. But also so much has changed in the trajectory of our country and its infrastructure, changes that you are going to be absolutely central to seeing through. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about our partnership in that process. But before I do, I want to address what happened in Philadelphia, the news that I think we've all been following and that my team and I have been closely engaged on, where a section of I-95 has collapsed, causing what we know will be extensive disruption for the movement of people and goods through that region. I've been in touch with the mayor, whose emergency responders were leading the immediate response, and the governor, whose State Department of Transportation will be leading the work of recovery and restoring that roadway to normal. Our federal highway administrator is on the ground right now and have been in touch with the delegation and other leaders. And the people of Philadelphia, the Pennsylvania DOT, and the entire region affected by this will have the full support of the United States Department of Transportation for as long as it takes to get that restored to normal. And I appreciate in advance all of the hard work that's going to go into responding to the impacts of that. It's a cruel reminder of the importance of our infrastructure, but we have been surrounded by reminders of the importance of our infrastructure, which is why we're coming together at such an important moment. And again, maybe the biggest thing to change in our area of work since last time we spoke is the outlook for infrastructure in this country. I understand ACEC recently surveyed its members, showing that the group is overwhelmingly optimistic about the future of this industry and the American economy, and that reflects the extraordinary work you've done to bring infrastructure projects to life. And I'm especially grateful for what you've done to demonstrate that commitment to the American people, including your work alongside ASCE and the American Public Works Association to stand up an engineering and public works roadshow to visit the project sites, illustrate how these investments are going to improve safety, how they're going to fight climate change and give us a more sustainable future, how they're going to make for fairer and more equitable economic growth in our communities, and more. So I wanted to just take stock of where we are in the trajectory of this story of America's infrastructure. And of course, we're talking about a story that in some ways is 40 years in the making in terms of the underinvestment that your sector, among others, called to America's attention until we finally were able to get something done about it under President Biden's leadership. In his first year in office, with invaluable support from America's engineering industry, the president was able to sign that historic infrastructure bill into law. And that in and of itself, if you think about it, is something of a political modern miracle, something that had been talked about and had escaped president after president, Congress after Congress until now. The idea of a bipartisan anything law was a bit of a punchline up until recently. Infrastructure Week was a bit of a punchline. By the way, I think it actually was Infrastructure Week recently, but it's, of course, an infrastructure decade that we're in now. And yet, through that bipartisan cooperation, through the support from the sector, and through the president's leadership, we were able to get that done. So year one, we got that bill passed. But of course, That's just the beginning. In the private sector, it would be the equivalent to the moment that everybody celebrates the adoption of the strategic plan. Then you got to make it happen. So in our second year, a lot of our work was focused on standing up the new programs. 46 programs in the DOT alone, some of them multi-billion-dollar, that were created or transformed by this bill, so that we could set about the work of building good projects well. And already we have begun the process of repairing over 70,000 miles of road, more than 4,600 bridges. We're building new transit routes, replacing outdated pipelines, modernizing airports, and so much more. So, year one, we got the bill passed. Year two, we got the programs up and running. That brings us to year three and beyond, where the money is moving and the dirt is flying on projects around the country. And this, of course, is the exciting part. And it's the daunting part. And I know the challenges that you are facing, from workforce and recruitment to readiness for the road ahead, costs escalating, jurisdictional complexity, making sure we really make the most of the opportunity in front of us without getting in our own way with anything in the process that could be done more efficiently. But aren't these such better problems to be working on than the problem of just not having the funding? They're very real problems, all of them. But they're the kinds of problems that I think people become engineers and people become transportation policymakers to set about solving and to dedicate ourselves to working on. And that is the season that we're in. I would argue there has never been a better time for all the challenges that we've faced, especially because of COVID. I would argue there has never been a better time to be involved in transportation, infrastructure, and engineering in the United States of America. So we're going to be very, very focused on delivery, and we're going to be partnering with you in how to get that done. And it strikes me that alongside some of the big challenges are also some solutions to problems that are presenting themselves. What I mean by that is we're in a moment where we are testing the productive capacity of the United States of America, right? The proportions of this infrastructure law are that big. Part of what that means is, of course, we cannot afford to leave any talent on the table as a country. And part of what that means is that there is an economic necessity lining up alongside the moral necessity of bringing more people into the opportunity that comes with this work. Whether we are talking about good paying construction jobs that are available to talented and committed workers, whether they've got a college degree or not, or whether we are talking about the engineering jobs and the related business jobs that are being created. It's no accident that the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law's official name is the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And it's something we've been very focused on because we see firsthand the pride that people who get those opportunities take in their work. I've been meeting with a lot of small business owners and workers who have felt that they have struggled for years to get in on these opportunities and are now incredibly hopeful about what these infrastructure investments will mean for their future. In our own department, we set an ambitious goal for the contracts we directly administer of making sure that 20% of our direct spend goes to small disadvantaged businesses. And I couldn't be prouder that we are actually exceeding that goal right now. We're partnering with state DOTs and other partners to make sure that there's more training, technical assistance, and resources to bring more people and more firms to the table, and to revamp our own DBE programs. How we spend these resources is going to say a lot about our values, and it's going to say a lot about how we can meet our shared goals. And I hope that as you are putting together the teams that will be sometimes racing to get these jobs done, as you're looking for subs, that you're looking at these businesses that haven't had a shot in the past. And as you're entering this very challenging season and making sure that you can recruit in the talent you need, but also applying those new flexibilities that we came to understand about how to do work that just weren't widely used as recently as 2 or 3 years ago. That you're adding all of that up into a chance for more people to have the incredibly rewarding careers that you and the firms you represent are living. And I know that there are a lot of such small businesses represented here today. One of the most exciting things I get to do as Transportation Secretary is to visit the communities that are seeing their futures get better because of the work we're doing. And they've been waiting a long time. Monday, a week ago today, we were in Grand Forks, North Dakota. There is a crossing at 42nd Street there that cuts off the university from the rest of town when trains go through. The trains are getting longer and longer when they are slowed down or when they are stopped. It is not just a headache, it is a threat to the safety of the people in that community, as the fire chief explained to me. Our railroad crossing elimination program is bringing $570 million this year alone to communities around the country to deal with 400 such intersections or at-grade crossings. And there in Grand Forks, we were celebrating one of them that they've been hoping to do something about since 1991. That's just one example of the thousands and thousands of places where we are seeing this good news arrive for communities that have been waiting for so long. But there is, of course, quite a path between the moment when we give the good news to that state DOT or that transit agency or that mayor that they got the project and the ribbon cutting. And if, as a former mayor, there's anything that I'm passionate about, it's getting to that ribbon cutting on time, on task, and on budget. So much of that depends on you. As the A&E firms that I was regularly phone banking as a mayor every day of our Complete Streets project until it got done could tell you. I know that pressure is coming your way and that opportunity is coming your way, and you're gearing up to make the most of that opportunity. Working together, we are going to deliver infrastructure improvements that will matter not just for the rest of our lives, but for the rest of our kids and grandkids' lives. Every time I strap our soon-to-be 2-year-old son and daughter into their car seats, I think about the fact that they will be driving or riding across bridges that you are designing and building right now when they are getting ready to go see their kids or their grandkids. It's an incredible opportunity, but it's also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we've got to get right. With your help, I know we will. So thank you for helping us get to this point by raising your voices about the importance of American infrastructure. And no pressure, but thank you in advance for delivering the most significant package of infrastructure improvements in modern American history. Thanks very much. Really appreciate the chance to be with you. Take care.